I'm going to switch this up a little bit, and I'm going to start by graphing this one, because this is something that I'm a little more familiar with. This is 4 to the x power, which means if I put in some numbers like 0, I plug in 0, I get a 1. Okay, boom, dot right there. If I plug in a 1, I get a 4. I go over 1, I'm up 4. So it's up a ways, and it's going up real steep real quick. But as I go back this way, it's going to get down real quick down to the bottom. So that's your x to a or 4 to the power of x. Well, if you recall that if I switch x and y and rewrite it, this is basically a log base 4, because of the base 4. This is the inverse of that. And so if I switch some things around and I've got my y-intercept is 1, well, over here that means my x-intercept is going to be a 1. I would think that that would probably be the easiest way of kind of doing some numbers here. And if I plug in a 4 in for x, it's going to give me a 1, because 4 to the first power is equal to 4, or also because 1, 4 was a point here. The inverse of that is going to be a 4, 1. So 1, 4 and up 1. So it's going to do one of these little guys over that way. And then as it approaches this way, it's going to look like that. So these are inverses of each other. And so that makes it kind of easy to do this. 1/4 is like this. So it's going to look a lot like that, but it's going to be decreasing at the same amount. Same y-intercept. But it's going to be kind of doing one of these little other direction things. It's decreasing over time. So as you plug in a bigger number, you square it, or you go over 1, you're up 1/4. You go over 2, you're at 1/16. So it gets real close real quick. And as you go backward, it flips it over, and so the -1 is going to become a +4. So -1, 4 is going to be the next point. It's the opposite of this one. And then you take the 4 out in front. You got 4 times the log base 10 of x. So you kind of think of that. You're going to have kind of some different things. You can plug in, well, you plug in a 0. You can't plug in a 0. You can't take the log of 0, so there's nothing here. That's kind of why this one never got to 0. But you plug in, oh, let's say a 1. Well, 10 to the 0 power is equal to 1. So that would equal 0. And even though it's a times 4, it would still be a 1. So this is going to look a lot like this, with some changes. You go over 10. You go over 10. 10 to the first is 10. So ignoring the 4 for a second, an x value of 10 is going to give you a 1. But times 4 out in front. So you go over 10. You're going to go up 4. You're going to get your next point right about there, and they're all going to look kind of the same with just different shapes. And so that would be how I would approach that first one.